Hello everyone, welcome to this video where we will be making a better plains biome because Minecraft's normal plains biomes are kind of crappy. For example, what is this? There's random flowing water here, there's a cave with water, but then we have water here and water here. We have a random wall of dirt. We have random holes that lead to nothing. So today we will make a better plains biome. So as you can see on my hotbar, I have an extra slot, which is the Axiom tools, so all these tools. But today I will be mostly relying on the extra menu, which is this one, which allows us to create big biomes fairly simply. So what do we want to do today? We want to build a big plains biome, so we will be using grass blocks. Plains are flat, so we'll take ellipsoids, not too high, but with a large radius. If we do this, we can normally paint. Can we paint? Oh, that's interesting. I found out what it was. I had to mask air. So now we can paint. So this would just be a normal plains biome, some elevation and some lower parts and some higher parts and so on. But in my opinion, this doesn't look good. You have these weird edges. It doesn't look that good, but we will be fixing that. This is still way too small for our big custom biome, which we will be using in the music video. So I'm just going to paint some extras. This is just making my bigger, easier. Bigger and better. Bigger. So what we have here is some plains. I especially like these brownish edges. They kind of look like pearlescent moons terraforming in a season 9 base, and I really love that. So we'll definitely try to make that work. So this is our first step, the very rough sculpting and very rough drawing of what we want. So even if you don't have a plan, just draw something. It comes naturally in the end. I didn't really have a plan. I was just drawing something and making some hills and making some lower down parts and so on. So step 1, just make some drawings with the painter tool. If you want plains, I suggest going for something fairly flat. As we saw, an ellipsoid is perfect for this. So now we have our rough draft of our plains biome, and it looks quite janky in some places. So we will want to smooth things out. So what we're going to do is we're going to select this smooth button, and then we will have a radius, so how big our sphere is. This can be pretty big. How strong we want the smoothing to be, so I'll just leave this at 2.5-ish. And the block ratio. And I like my block ratio to be at a little over 100, so that it will add a few blocks, but not too much. So now if I go over this crater thing, it adds some blocks. And if I release, we see what happened here. This is not exactly what I want, so I'm going to change how big my sphere is, so I can work a little more focused on some parts. So this is a bit better. Now just one click and I made it better already. So I'm just going to go over all this terrain and I'll be back when I have something that looks quite decent. Okay, so as you can see behind me, I have smoothed over most of the parts. Now it still has some janky parts, but most of this will be covered with grass, maybe a few trees, so most of this won't be visible anyways. But for the weirdest parts, I'm just going to go over it by hand and try to make things better. Hey, welcome back. So as you can see behind me, I have been busy doing some shading for the cliffs. This is my color palette, so this is for the shadows. So I went brown terracotta, brown concrete powder, coarse dirt, and normal dirt. So as you can see here, in the darker parts, it's brown terracotta, and then it moves to the lights. I've done all overhanging parts, so I've done this, and if we go over here, I have done this one as well. So now we have done our detail, our smoothing, and our texturing of the overhangs. I think it's time to add some life, by which I mean grass and some ferns. So let's do that. So to add our grasses, we're going to use the Clantaminator tool and mostly the decorations part. So this is just grass, so it won't change anything. But this is the important part, the normal grass and the tall grass. Grassiness can be pretty high, I think, for plains. And it's important we have our tool masks here. So we have grass blocks, so all the grass will be used. And we have air blocks. It's important to mask the air blocks, because if we don't, the grass won't be allowed to spawn in the air, so it won't be able to stand on the grass. So now if we do a bit of this, we can see that there is a lot of grass. Now I think this should be okay for how grassy our plains are supposed to be. And yeah, I'm just going to do this for all of our plains. I've put grass all over this plain and it looks amazing. It looks more like a real life plains biome. I think it's just way more fluffy, way more lush. Now if we look at our hills, we see some grass poking out, which is way more realistic than just a flat surface area. I'm very happy with this. I'm thinking maybe we should add some patches of moss just to have some variation in the surface. So what I mean is just some places where we have some of that, just to make it look a bit more lush. So to get our surface variation, we are going to use a noise painter, which will basically generate a random noise pattern, which it will then paint in these blocks. So I've used grass, so we will remain a majority of grass. I've used some moss, and I've also used some green concrete powder because I think it looks perfectly like a combination of the green of the moss and the texture of the grass block. So if we go do this, we should see some variation in the surface. Doesn't look too bad, but I'm not very pleased with this. So I'm going to change the scale of the noise pattern to get some larger patches. So like this should probably be alright. And let's try that again. This is looking better. This is more like the bake patches I wanted, but it's still not exactly what I want. I'm going to fiddle around a bit with this. Our new view is like this. It has some darker green patches, some just grass patches, we have our overhangs, we have our grass, and I think this is starting to look pretty good already. I was wondering if maybe we needed a few trees, and luckily I have been building some trees in my spare time. And if I go to my clipboard here, you can see I have quite a few trees. I have some oak, some spruce, and some cypress type bamboo trees. And I have some autumn trees, but I think I will just use normal oak trees. So I have a tall oak tree. Maybe I want a tall one over here. My button to crouch is control. So anytime I try to control V something in, I go down. Take a look at this. So we're going to just walk through our plains biome. Ooh, nice, nice. Oh, what a nice plains biome. I wonder what's over this hill. Oh, what's over there? It's a huge tree. And I know that right now it looks out of place because it's the only tree in the entire biome, but I think it's going to look cool if we have a few smaller trees dotted around. So I'm going to do that right now. Ooh, we have trees now. How do they look? Ooh, they look nice. They look nice. I know this is rather empty, but you know, it's the plains, so we have to keep some of the plain aspects, right? We can't fill it with trees and just make a forest biome. But I think we should probably add some ferns, small ferns, large ferns. I have just made a terrible mistake. You see, I thought I had to mask air so my ferns would be able to spawn on top of the grass. Turns out, even 100 blocks in the air, you're still in the air. Yup. I've made the bush. This is the ultimate bush. This is not a plains biome. So we added our foliage. Behind me you can see all the grasses, all the ferns. We have our texture in the floor. We have our trees. We had our cliffs. And now I've also added a castle rune, which I just happened to have in my testing world. It's definitely not going to come up in the next video. I think it's perfect for in this rather empty area. So that's going to do it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed. If there's anything you would have done differently or any ideas you have to improve this, make sure to let me know, because I had no idea what I was going to do before I did it. So, you know, just try and you'll get there. Thank you for watching. Bye.